시청자 여러분 안녕하세요.
This is prosthodontics on Friday, which explains different prosthodontic steps in implant treatment in an interesting manner and addresses also side effects. Today we have Dr. Hosubok, a leader in digital dentistry, and will discuss present and future of digital dentistry. Greetings. I'm sure you're very busy treating patients and participating in academic affairs. Thank you for participating in prosthodontics on Friday. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm grateful. Today, I'm not going to talk about the clinical aspect of digital dentistry. This will be addressed by other outstanding talents. I'm going to talk about how digital dentistry has evolved and how it has transformed in terms of industrial aspect and has brought on what kind of economic value. I don't think it's going to be interesting. No, after having listened to your lecture, I feel intrigued. I look forward to your lecture. Those of you watching from dental site, you can participate real time via the chat, leave your questions, and these will be addressed, and through a draw, Starbucks coffee coupon will be sent. Most memorable questions will be selected as best questions, and Starbucks coffee coupons, 3 of them will be sent your way. It's June and it's getting really hot. To study your prosthodontics, get your Ice Americano coupons and enjoy studying. You can share the benefits with your friends. Only those who agree to marketing on dental site will be able to receive the gifts. I hope you agree to the marketing. I look forward to your participation. Let us begin Dr. Hosubok's lecture. The topic of today's lecture is present and future of digital dentistry. What is digital dentistry? I think a lot of people questioned this concept. I want to talk about what digital dentistry is and the tendency of global dental companies and how digital dentistry will evolve in the future. First, in 2009, when we first came up with the idea of Korean Academy of Digitalized Dentistry, it was difficult to come up with a proper name. This was before CAD/CAM dentistry, therefore, we named ourselves Computer Restoration Dentals Association. It was a very vague name. 4 years after, the name was changed to Korean Academy of Digitalized Dentistry. In terms of processing, CAD/CAM was first established. As you know, the components of CAD/CAM dentistry are scanner, printer, milling. That's the hardware aspect. And there's also software aspect where we do the design. There's also materials, metal, ceramic, polymer. These have all been developed to be optimized for use with CAD/CAM. Data format is also very important. 2D, 3D DICOM data are very important. There's also data called text, but more than anything else, 3-dimensional scan data is most important in the dental field. So, the first step in digital dentistry is oral scanner. I believe oral scanner has helped usher in an era of digital dentistry. In the past, dentition information was stuck in plaster model. However, with the transfer into data, innovative changes came to be. Data communication has become possible away from plaster models, so unimaginable changes came to be. This was a true revolution that has changed all aspects, including the business side. In clinical side, if you do digital dentistry, cost-wise, you can enjoy the following benefits, as shown in these data. There can be difference, but overall, the manual cost, or the work you do with your own hands, and the cost related to it goes down, whereas the quality of the output is improved, therefore leading to improved productivity. This is the true benefit of digital dentistry. In CAD/CAM dentistry world, this is also valid in today. What is the next step? CAD/CAM digital dentistry digitally transformed the workflow that was being done at the clinic and at lab. It does not change the fundamental value. What does the next step look like? Next is AI and digital dentistry. Next is digital dentistry led by AI and data. This data is evidence-based. It is not arbitrary. It is based on evidence. And AI means automation. AI and data have made evidence-based automation possible. Can AI really replace dentists? A lot of questions are being raised in this end. Fundamentally, it cannot replace the dentist. It will serve as a supplementary measure and help the dentist to provide treatment. That is where we are today. Components of AI. As we all know, hardware, computing resource is very important. There have been many developments, so performance is outstanding. For the same data set, if you use a supercomputer, things can be done within one day. However, if you use a normal ordinary computer, it may take a long while. These can be a big issue as well. Deep neural network. AI architecture is very advanced, and depending on different industries, it may vary, but if you utilize the 40 deep learning models that are currently available, there is no meaningful difference in terms of performance. Combining them to provide the optimum performance is necessary, and it might require a little bit of trial and error. The most important is data. The quality and quantity of data is very important. Vision AI is very important in the field of AI. This is a combination of computer science and computer vision and deep learning. Digital image processing is applied to all industries, including robotics, medical field, sports, entertainment, and it's difficult to find a field that cannot be applied. It's become very commoditized and widespread. AI field is growing exponentially, and by 2023, it's going to grow up to $17.38 billion or 20 trillion won in Korean won. The market is growing faster than anticipated. If our field of interest when we look at panoramic image is tooth or alveolar bone, we label it. If we pre-process it and learn it, then classification is formed. Our object of interest is detected and localized at the same time. If we want to separate a separate tooth, we need to do segmentation. This is applied the same in 2D, 3D images and scan data. In terms of industry aspect, medical AI companies have been under the limelight for some time, several years. Recent technology specialistic companies include Vuno and JLK. They have excellent service and diverse technology portfolio. If you compare it with dental AI, I'm cautious, but I believe that the dental field has a leg up, commercially speaking. We need to understand who's going to use the technology. In the case of medical AI, the weakness falls in the images taken for rare and serious diseases like lung cancer and breast cancer, as well as Alzheimer. It's not an X-ray that everybody takes. Also, these technologies are limited for larger hospitals because there are issues with insurance as well as different regulations. In Korea, remote medical treatment is regulated and protected. Therefore, it's even difficult to proceed with testbed programs. Going overseas is not a progress, but the companies are forced out of the local market. On the other hand, in the case of dental AI, the demand comes from 18,000 local private practitioners. Currently, orthodontic treatment is not covered by the insurance, and if you provide panoramic images to the patient, then you'll be able to easily resolve patient distrust over excessive treatment. The diagnosis and dental solutions are connected, therefore, medical AI have more potential and value. Let's look at examples of how AI is applied to dental field. In 2D images, landmark detection and analysis on panoramic images so that you can segment periodontal disease or caries which occur very frequently. Three-dimensional scan data, you can extract margin boundary. It's an example, but if you have a clear set of goal to create certain technology, the methodology of how to plan the data is defined. There are many potential in this field. At National Information Society Agency or NIA, there is a data accumulation project that is going on called DEN. The project aims to build a public storage with meaningful medical data. However, unfortunately, not a lot of meaningful data is being gathered. Within the dental field, there are even companies that gather the data and sell them. However, these data without any sense of purpose, its value decreases. If you just gather scan data, if you were a lab technician, how much of that would be meaningful to you? Unless you have a clear purpose of what to create, it's very meaningless. You need to have a clear goal. That leads to how. Clinical methodology needs to be defined in a very detailed manner, and following that, data curation and annotation needs to follow suit, and this will inevitably require a lot of trial and error and experience. This is very time-consuming. Finally, the matter of who does it also comes into the play. Data planning may be done, but it may differ depending on who does it, be it professor, resident, and it may differ between professors. There's inter-examiner discrepancy as well as intra-examiner discrepancy. These are very important. When all these issues are resolved, only then could we be able to extract meaningful data. One of the most important area in digital sphere is personalization or customization, but standardization is important as well. It may feel as if standardization and customization are conflicting. However, with accumulated data, you get a standardized template. For instance, when we make pants, there are pants fit for Koreans. Once you provide a template for Koreans, after that you can customize it for different individuals. In digital field, with accumulated data, standardized template can be gained, and with that, customization can be done. AI and big data can play a role here, and these two terms are not conflicting but rather mutually complementary. Automation in the dental field does not simply mean automation. AI is not the best fit for automation. For instance, if we take a look at X-ray and the dentist reads it, when we design machine using software, currently, as mentioned, the results we get with the software or the technology vary depending on the capacity of the dentist, experience, and intuitive decisions. Therefore, the quality of the output varies significantly and is not standardized, and it's quite labor-intensive. If we utilize AI and get to semi-automation, first, the quality of output is improved. The difference that arises depending on who does it becomes reduced. Because manual job is reduced, productivity is significantly improved, and this is a true benefit of AI and automation. In the past, we thought better data meant better quality data. However, now we have clear indices. 4 V's of big data needs to be satisfied. First is volume of qualified data. Second is velocity, the speed of which the data is generated. Third is variety, the different types of data. Fourth, veracity, the trustworthiness of the data. These 4 conditions need to be satisfied in order to get a meaningful and useful result. In CAD/CAM dentistry, current digital dentistry is driven by AI and data. In the future, it will be enabled via the cloud, where all digital workflow will be enabled, connected, and business will be able to be proceeded. By cloud, I want to express it like this. In terms of data, it's similar to bank. In the past, in our grandfather's days, we would keep cash and valuables at home. When people were asked to save it in the bank, people would ask why. However, these days, we save our money in the bank because we cannot have large safes and bodyguards. 10 years ago, the companies used to maintain their storage in-house, and it costs a lot of money. Save data on cloud. Why should I? Now, cloud business is at the core of global business. You can utilize the necessary computing resource as needed and just pay what you've used. Security and maintenance is provided by the vendor, so it's very comfortable. Security is the key. If necessary, you can expand and scale. Scalability is good. Efficiency and innovation, these are all benefits of cloud. Therefore, all companies of different industries with different business patterns are now moving to cloud or are considering it. If you look at the different types of cloud, you can largely divide it into 3 types. First is IS, Infrastructure as a Service. It only provides a storage server. Second is Platform as a Service, and development environment is provided. This is a more progressive type. Next is SaaS, Software as a Service. Dr. Hall, there are so many questions. Let's take a look at the questions. Dr. Hall, you have a great voice. I agree, you have a wonderful voice. If I look at the questions, it's slightly off the topic, but IDG King, what do you think is the start of digital dentistry? Is it digital impression? In the beginning, I've talked about how scanning is the very beginning of digital dentistry. In the past, we used to do impression taking, and now we use scans to take necessary dental information. I think that is the very start to yes. When you use scanner, it's very convenient and it has many benefits. ID Gung, I have a question. I want to buy 3D printer in my clinic. Resin monomer used for 3D printer is said to cause cancer and have negative impact on our health. What do you think about that? Professor? Doctor? Regarding the material, I'm not here to discuss about material, but we all know the negative impact of printing resin, and we need to be cautious. We need to really emphasize the importance of it. The materials used for dental purposes, it has less negative impact, but it does not mean that there are no negative impacts. So therefore, you need to be fully aware of the harmful effects and take precautionary measures. In daily practice, if you have more contact, it can be quite lethal, so you need to take precautionary measures. You need to ventilate, you need to wear gloves. I'm sure you're aware of it, but when you cure dentures, at times you just use your hands without gloves. When I was an intern, I saw some people with their hands peeling off because of the harmful impact. You need to protect your own health. This is very important. 18608, digital impression. Sometimes it can be very difficult. Is there a special know-how? I'm not a person who is expert at scanning. Impression taking is becoming more and more difficult. Alginate impression, rubber impression, which we have been doing 20-30 years, it was very difficult. Elastomer concept and stone pouring. We need to be aware of the expansion and shrinkage. We need to calibrate these factors. And scanner is no different. The devices used for scanning are basically the same, but the difference comes from software technologies. There are different dependencies depending on different companies. When you analyze the topology by analyzing the scan data, there are different data defects. Tangled data or over-ruptured data. There are many data defects. How much cleansing can be done determines the quality of the scanning company. If you use the qualified scanners as guided by excellent clinicians, then there will be no major problems. Impression taking. Software may have a part in it, but depending on the deafness of the person using the scanner, is it related? Definitely. It's the same with taking impression and scanning. It's related to the deafness. You need to practice well. Nampodong YH Dental Clinic from Busan. Compared with the past, oral scan impression data have become much more accurate. Do you recommend oral scanner model? It's a difficult question to answer. As you provide treatment, do you think you can recommend a product that is cost-effective or a product that may be a little bit more expensive but with good quality? I'm sure everyone agrees, but there's no product that is cheap and good. Cheaper ones have lower quality. Top 5 global iOS companies including Sirona, Trios, iTero, and a couple of other global names comes to mind. As for local products, in most companies, iOS is being prepared. I believe company that starts with M is rather cost-effective and is quite widespread. I've experienced with it. It can be a very reasonable choice. Osstem is currently working on it. We will continue to work so that we will provide a quality product. I look forward to it. ID Vasco. Digital dentistry, I just thought it was effective and it's really good to see these materials. ID Wonjang Pak. The more I buy more digital equipments, the more the cost becomes in opening my own practice. I think this person is opening his or her practice. That's true. ID Hahat. Do you think it is okay to use digital technology for full case rather than single or bridge cases? Currently, with our technology, I think it's not going to be a problem. ID Hahat. The questions over here. I think that's a limitation and question that we all have. Let alone scan. Full mouth cases are very difficult. The same criteria applies. When you scan impression taken, there are so many notable figures and speakers that are working on this, but there's no clear defined process for this. So you believe it's a little bit tough to proceed full case with only digital technology. As for me, it will be difficult. If you look at excellent dentists, they know the distortion rate. They consider that as they work with CAD, but it's something only they can do. It's not something that average dentist can do by putting in average amount of effort. If that protocol is something that only the outstanding can achieve, that's not the way we should head forward. I think we will be able to continue to advance so that full mouth cases can be addressed fully. IEG King, I recommend Trios 4 from 3 Shape to Nampodong YH Dental Clinic. ID Smile again. Greetings, Dr. Hosubok. I'm so happy to see you. I think that this person is your fan. Thank you. I love you. If I combine plaster model and digital scan, will it be accurate? To get the crown form, will the data size between the lab and the dental clinic be huge? I think this person is asking about when we utilize both plaster model and digital impression. The plaster model will be scanned using desktop scanner. Depending on the model, then there will be discrepancy in terms of adaptation. But if you take analog impression and pour stone, if you change rubber impression and stone, and if you make second model and third model, bridging the gap between these models is very difficult. If there is a equipment used by the lab, or if you're aware what kind of stone model the lab uses, we need to refer to it. We need to match that. Only then will it be meaningful. Or else there's so much variable that we can't define what went wrong where. Nampodong YH Dental Clinic. Considering the initial cost, performance, and accuracy, do you recommend one scanner? Which would you recommend? I'm going to send you a separate email. Please leave your email so that Dr. Hall can reply to your question. A separate contact will be made. ID Jokbarbossam, do you believe that digital dentistry, which is changing the clinical workflow, is contributing to fundamental advancement of dentistry? I believe this question is very sharp and to the point. I'm very cautious. In clinical field, digital dentistry is quite widespread. But does it intensify or advance the fundamental aspect of dentistry? I do not think so. In CAD/CAM dentistry phase, this is limited to manufacturing design. In the past, you take impression and mill it and cast it. Now it's changed to milling and printing. But it's still dependent on experience and knowledge of the person who is doing it. Yes, in terms of workflow process, digital transformation has occurred. Professor Lee from SNU's lecture really touched my heart because the professor said there has been changes in technology. However, it does not mean changes in science. In order for this to become a reality, rather than doing simple CAD/CAM based on numerous data, based on analysis and measurement, if we can provide diagnosis and change the way we do clinical practice, then fundamental advancements can be achieved. Treatment plan, will it be possible? I hope so. Thank you. IDMM, oral scanners are quite advanced. So what is the difference in terms of technology with overseas products? There are many questions about components, and it is slightly different from the direction that I was hoping for. These questions are quite sensitive. To give you my 2 cents, I'm really interested in software that address scan data to evaluate the quality. Few products compared with top-tier products, there's no major difference. That's my personal opinion. Local implants have catched up with overseas products, and now these days 95% of the time local implants are used, and I think that will be the same for scanners as well. In the 1990s, Osstem implant quality was not that good. Yes, at the time, we used overseas products 90% of the time, and we used Korean products 5-10%, but it has changed completely. Osstem has become a global company. Osstem sells the most number of implants worldwide. In terms of revenue, it is 4th globally, but we have made grand advances. As for rest of the questions, let's address them later because there will be Q&A session after Dr. Ha's lecture. We have interrupted his lecture too much. We will close this questions for now and now proceed with Dr. Ha's lecture. Thank you for all the questions and I look forward to your continued interest. Let us continue Dr. Ha's lecture. In some ways, this lecture may be quite dry and uninteresting. No, it's interesting. In 2016, I went to Thailand IDS for the first time as a senior researcher in a national project. I sampled the products there. My first impression is that things were totally changed. Companies that used to take the center were now in the sidelines, and companies like 3Shape and digital scanner solution companies were taking on the main stage, which I was unaware of until then. I instinctively knew that the wind had changed. When I came back, I had to submit a report to the National Parliament. I was quite surprised. In 2017, Stallman report, the same contents were described. I felt quite of a exhilaration. I'm not a special person. I'm rather mediocre, but I really could sense the change. Oral scanner has made all these changes possible and are making a true transformation within the dental field. In the past, there was a clear divide within dentistry. Chair companies focused on unit chairs, and Vatek focused on X-ray, Osstem focused on implant, and bracket companies focused on brackets. Even in labs, there were different divided classifications. However, with the introduction of oral scanner, everything changed as the data transferred into STL file. Global companies rushed to either develop their own oral scanners or to buy oral scanner companies. There was so much to do with the scan data. Companies rushed to become implant companies and digital orthodontic treatment companies. In other words, with the introduction of intraoral scanners, the different divides within the dental field became obsolete and M&A were accelerated. If casting were to be said as that of analog days, in digital era it's not about CAD/CAM but about providing a total solution. To do this, a series of M&A flooded the market. It takes time to develop your own, and saving time means saving money. In Osstem, we have moved away from implant to providing a total care solution, from lab to everything. I believe it really rings true to us. Things that were discussed in 2019, these will be accelerated. The different divide between roles will become obsolete, and eventually the dental field will be formed so that integrated solution will be provided. Oral scan is essential. Invisalign has iTero. Sirona is not going to sell because they have their own technology. 3Shape is a digital solution company. In 2021, Envista Holdings, a dental segment in Danar, bought CareStream, an intraoral scanner division. Before that, it also did a Brunei Mark implant. That's right. Acquisition was done for approximately $600 million. What is interesting is that a leader in Korea's intraoral scanner, Medit, the major shareholder, changed. It changed to Unison Capital. Is it a Korean company? Yes. I cannot disclose the details, but public funds are also in. Based on my understanding, it was valued as 400 billion won. It was preparing IPO, but Unison offered over 600 billion won. Medit was very happy. I believe it was praised as was, not just because it was a device to get intraoral scan data, but because it demonstrated how it was going to utilize such data. And I think such growth potential was highly appraised. I believe Medit will become a very coveted company in the future. That's my anticipation. Online technology acquired exocat. It was quite shocking. Online technology, it's not just about orthodontic treatment. Align Technology has bought exocat, which has the most number of module and users. What is going to be their next move? Up until now, it was license-based. Now I believe it will transition into web-based. What will it do with that many software? I believe it's going to acquire or merge with milling printing or implant company. That's my expectation. It's really interesting. Ping An Group has made investment in Plus Dental. Market condition and regulation differ from country to country, and people with money are currently investing in healthcare. That is clear. It is the same with the insurance company in Korea as well. We believe that digital healthcare platform is going to be the next big thing in the future. A lot of investment is made, but there's no company with specific BM. We anticipate that there's going to be something with great economic value, and everyone is keenly interested, but no one knows what it's going to come to be. In China, compared with Korea, the regulation is much more loose, so it is really taking up all the data. The volume and the number of insurance companies jumping into digital platform business is really astonishing. I felt this at CIDEX as well. A lot of implant companies are investing in clear aligners. Yes, the market itself is quite attractive, but the trend is to come up with a total solution. The companies have no choice. Currently, the local market, it's shrinking, so compared with input, output is not satisfactory, so this is inevitable. This is an American insurance company called Delta Dental. As you know, private insurance companies govern the clinics, and it has made an investment in Indian company that managed dental SaaS platform. This is not full SaaS platform. It's a patient management, hospital management system. I believe the investment was made because the platform that governs super clinics was established within India. Larger companies merge or make investment because they need to reduce the time necessary for technology development and to secure sales network and the results. So relevant companies are being bought. Sirona bought Byte, a B2C company in the US. I didn't really think Byte was worth 1 trillion won. I thought the value was going to drop because B2C without case selection. In acquiring data, it requires expert touch. If the patient takes impression and an appliance is made out of it, then there's an issue of data gathering. Case selection is going to be a problem, and there's going to be many problems associated with it. In China, angel aligner continued exponential growth for 5 years of 95%, but as anticipated, malpractice became more prone and the share price of Byte is falling. Anyway, larger companies are acquiring a lot of smaller companies. These days, there's a device called Propel, which speeds up teeth movement with vibration. I don't really get it. As for Straumann Group, it invested in Dr. Smile, which is a German company. This is a company with a German network. This is a clear aligner company. As B2C companies like Byte stirred up problems, Invisalign's response was that clear aligners should be done with an expert touch. Because it is a medical device, it requires a dentist's consultation. It is arguing value in this way. This has all been anticipated. Regardless of whether it is device implant guide or clear aligner, they're all based on clinical know-how. So it is provided based on how treatment should be provided. Not just the design of device, diagnosis, cephaloanalysis, and these basic technologies need to be reflected. Straumann has made an investment. Osstem's biggest rival and a challenge that we need to overcome is Straumann because it is global number one. There's a need for a one-stop total solution which encompasses all different segments, be it implant treatment, orthodontic treatment, prosthesis, and so forth. This encompasses also diagnosis to treatment plan and treatment. Earlier, I've talked about integrated solution, but this means that just the different segments divides are included in this solution. Think of total solution as something that connects everything. Smile Direct Club is making some real headway, and Invisalign's response is that the dentist and expert touch is required. However, there's always lack of qualified professionals. How can we replace such professionals? We can replace the manual work using AI. This is not just about orthodontics, but it can also be applied to implant guides as well. This is a bit interesting. Companies that sell medical machines or devices. In Korea, it can be problematic, but if they want high sales, if there is a dental clinic with 1 million won in revenue, if I were to manage 100 of those clinics, how much work is required? It's difficult to strike a balance there. One major hospital needs to be exponentially grown. That's the key to driving the revenue. This is not possible in Korea, but dental service organizer service is available in US and China. In Korea, it's illegal, but it's not in other countries. So large funds can invest in medical device development or hospital development, and this can drive the revenue. DSO takes up approximately 30% of dental service market. In China, these movements are accelerated, and in Korea, a lot of conglomerates are interested in this area as well. But local law, different segments need to have different lead dentists. The problem is that this can be a big hurdle for decision making. In order for effective growth, all hospital, MSO, and the medical organization need to walk hand in hand. But if there are different leaders, then there are bound to be difficulties. Straumann and Invisalign. They're a very hot topic these days. There are two companies that lead the global dental companies, that is Invisalign and Straumann. I'm going to talk about this later, but they pursue aesthetic dentistry. It's not just a prosthodontic treatment. It encompasses all aesthetic dentistry, and the key are implant and ortho treatment. If it encompasses all these, will everything be possible? No. Compared with revenue, company value is approximately 4 to 5 times. In the case of Straumann and Invisalign, it is 50 times that. What is the reason? Osstem has both as well. This is because they have total solution. That is important. Device alone will not make this possible. For instance, I have milling machine and printer. That's not the key. The most important factor is software. In Korea, we have high dependency on overseas software. DO. 10 years ago, it was not a main player in local market. However, it was able to grow this much thanks to the fact that it was able to differentiate what really mattered in the market. DO Guide, DO Navy. We don't just sell implant, but we sell plan for implant treatment. Over 600,000 sold. That's because DO was able to discern the keyword. Osstem has one guide as well. If I may say so, these are not just one software. 600,000, that's an amazing feat. But without know-how on the software, bigger problems will not be resolved. You may be able to change UI or UX and add other functions, but big problems cannot be resolved. That is a limitation. You need to have self-developed systems and add your own know-how to it. This is a common challenge for both DO and Osstem implant. In Osstem, there's over 150 software developers. I'm jealous. I've mentioned that there was a reason why Straumann and Invisalign was valued higher compared with other companies. In order to reduce the gap, we need to understand why there's a gap and we need to overcome it. I'm going to talk about something that you may not really like as a local dental company, but for those who are just starting off, people may feel burdened about buying new products because they're concerned whether they need to buy everything. We need to think about what digital dentistry is really for. Easily put, dental companies say you need to buy scanners, software, and printers to become a good dentist. In dental field, there are many outstanding early adapters. It's approximately 1%. They buy scanner and software and printer with 100 million won. They provide treatment to the patient, to scan the patient, use the data on the software, and print out the provisional or prosthesis and provide that to the patient the next day. They think they're very good dentists, but if you look at them after a year, they're almost slaves to digital dentistry. Who is this really for? They've become slaves at their own expense. You may need a device, hardware, and software, material, as well as human resources. There are different options available. Do we need to have them all? We need to find a way. As for implant, as of 2020, approximately 800,000 implants were placed. In China, 5 million were placed. In the past, they focused on denture, but now they focus on implants. In Korea, there's approximately 18,000 dental clinics. In China, there's approximately 100,000 or 130,000. In 2026, the number of implants placed will increase from 5 million to 16 million. This is a 35 trillion won market. However, the number of Chinese dentists who've learned from Osstem will only be several thousand. What's going to happen? There's going to be significant side effects. Guide will become essential. There will be differences between countries. Some countries will have younger patients, and others will have older patients. Demand for implant can occur at all stages of life. If there's lack of qualified dentists, because we cannot raise and sell 100,000 dentists abroad, we have to transform our knowledge and know-how into data and make it as a product. That is the guide, be it implant treatment or orthodontic treatment. You need to sell not only the device, but you need to sell the package. I think training is the key, yes. I'm at the Research Training Center because of this. You know better than I do, then. Digital dentistry led by major companies. We need to consider the ecosystem. There's dentists as well as companies and lab technicians. We have really great lab technicians. However, without the fund, they cannot really sell and advertise their know-how. Most larger labs are increasing equipment, but we have to ask ourselves, do we need all these solutions? The platform. Everyone says they have a platform, but when I ask what kind of components they have, they say they just have cloud platform mall. They make something where 2D, 3D data communication is possible, and they say it is an electronic lab platform, but that's not it. Open platform. What this means is that you'll be able to use this web-based software even if you have not created. You don't need to pay for it. You just use it when you need it. If you need lab technician, do I need to hire one? That's not necessary. You can just outsource it. There's a lot of outstanding one-person labs these days. These individual lab technicians form their own labs and get work from online. There are many more one-person labs these days. We had lab technician competition recently, and I visited a lot of dental technology divisions, and I've learned a lot. In the past, they would pour plaster. When you look at their study rooms, they have computers available, and there's milling machine as well as 3D printer, and I've really felt that days have changed. In digital dental ecosystem, all players are mutually dependent. Therefore, there's a platform where we share hardware, software, and human resource. I'm nearly done. Digital dentistry is evolving. First was CAD/CAM dentistry, casting days, and then we moved on to printing days. There were the days of M&A. Now is the rise of AI and data. Evidence-based automation era. This is the same too. I believe that there is going to be an era of cloud. I'm going to summarize my lecture. In the past, quantitative changes led to qualitative change. Isn't that right? Yes. In digital era, that's the opposite. Qualitative change leads to exponential quantitative changes. 3-shape or Invisalign, look at them. It's not accumulated know-how. If you look at the flow of digital dentistry, the dental fields, the different barriers are crumbling. And we are all pursuing total solution. Integrated lineup is what we pursue from diagnosis to design. And there's a fierce competition as to who comes up with a platform first. So thank you for the wonderful lecture. It was really impressive and interesting. Thank you. Let's go back to the questions that we've received. IDKIJUM2, is there an oral scanner you recommend? This question is quite too popular. Answer will be provided via email, or if you know cell phone number, you can be reached out. 3992875, error correction capacity of oral scanner. Is that possible? Error correction depends on the technology of the product. When you do full arch scan, we need to know how much distortion occurs. Prominent speakers such as Professor Park Joo-man talk about accuracy and trueness. Within a clinic, with a given device, in order to correct the error, I think this is the question about. You need to be guru. To give you an example, sushi gurus. They make excellent sushi and there's finesse in them, as if made with machines. Some people know how to calibrate on CAD instinctively. This is possible for gurus. But for an average dentist, if we give same amount of effort, we need to get good result. Is this possible? It may be so, but in general, this is not possible. But if you try it really hard, it may be possible. If you have skill and knowledge, then it may be possible. ID 신동성, digital technology has truly evolved. I can really understand your presentation and explanation. ID 연지씨, in the future, treatment sequence will be provided by AI CAD, including 3D printing. What is the criteria of selecting big data and software in terms of data quality and backup and security? This is a comprehensive question, so I want to narrow down a little bit. I think the purpose of this question is the following. We're not technical engineers. We think that in the future, if we get scan data, there will be automatically dental alignment and denture. But in order to do that, we have to do so much. If you look at the process of processing scan data, let's take orthodontic treatment as an example. You need to segment the boundary of individual tooth. You can do it manually or you can automate it. Labeling is required to use which as basis. In the case of denture alignment, I've talked about pants or clothes and classification of small, medium, and large. If average occlusion of Korean can be classified as class 1, as in the sense of the clothes, is there a template to where there are different segments between class 1, 2, and 3? I don't believe so. There are too many to do three-dimensionally. There's another point here. What we imagine will come true one day. At present, automating basic module takes a lot of work. It requires a lot of thought, and we need to deduce clinical methodology. And also check whether these are realizable. It takes a lot of time to gather data and rotate it. I don't think this is going to be a reality soon. In developing digital denture called One Denture, currently, we need to put in three. We need to take impression and do scanning. If we are to use oral scanner for denture, we need to determine how to set the denture margin. This is a difficult question. This will be overcome one day, but it's going to be time-consuming. L0421. Do you think a lot of lab work will transfer to cloud services? Excellent question. I think it's only a matter of time. If you think about the trade of cloud, you can respond to global market without time difference in all global markets. US, Vietnam, China, Korea, they're all different, but you can make orders. It's the matter of speed of spreading, but I think this will become widespread, so all labs will transition into the cloud. I cannot say everyone, but most of the lab-related talents will move on to cloud. I understand. ID Postal, when you use oral scanner, at times, prosthesis scan can be difficult. Do you have any scan tips for this? No, I don't. There are many professors who are well-versed here. It still requires skill to do metal scanning. I understand. Next, I love you. I'm over 60. I want to learn digital prosthodontics, but there is very little opportunity. Do you think this is a must-have? If you're 60 and if you want to continue providing treatment up until 70, you definitely need to know how to do it. I agree. 60 years old. Compared with the past, you're considered young. I think you need to start right now. You need to buy a scanner because this is considered a first step into digital dentistry. If you find digital dentistry interesting, you can move forward. If you're 60, I assume you've been providing treatment for over 30 years. I think this person is a couple of years senior than me. Perhaps a couple of months. If you start the digital dentistry, you may really get a chance to look back on yourself and wonder why you did it the way you did in the past. LEE74NEN. Is there a scan movement order which can optimize scanner recognition? There's already a textbook that explains this really well. Can you share the name of the textbook? The Quintessence, issued by Korean Academy of Digitalized Dentistry. Quintessence of which year? I think it's approximately 2 years ago. There are many great digital clinicians in the academy, and the guideline is all incorporated in it. Please refer to the Quintessence. 18608. Thank you for the wonderful lecture. At private clinics, hygienist or lab technician deals with scan data. Up to which scope should they deal with this? This is a very sensitive question. Regarding the industry of digital dentistry, the problem is always associated with regulation, legal problems. We need to work to alleviate the regulations that are present, but I do not believe we need to come up with a new regulation to protect a certain group's interest. Taking impression. I think you can see it in the same context. I want to leave my answer vague. If it requires accuracy or high-level technique, should the dentist do it? I want to provide a more relaxed answer, more freedom. Thank you for answering all the questions and comments left on this chat screen. Clear aligner, it's becoming more important in digital dentistry, and I think it's very meaningful clinically. Magical line released by Osstem Orthodontics. How do you think it's going to continue to evolve, and what is the differentiating factor compared with other clear aligners? I think you need to answer this, Professor. We use Magical Line these days, but there's going to be a software called One Ortho that's going to be released soon. There's going to be a much more advanced software technology. Happy Dental Clinic. If you have time, please visit Osstem and we'll be able to provide a more detailed answer. ID Fire. Is there going to be issue with data backup in the storage? I have quite a lot of patients and I require more storage. In Company M, it provides M Cloud. Storage capacity is increasing. I do not believe companies can provide the cloud storage for free unlimitedly. You need to consider the fact that you need to pay for it at some point. It's your data. It's patient's data, but it's the clinic's data as well, so you need to have backup storage. That's my recommendation. So it's going to cost a little, but not that many. Samsung 밝은 미소 Dental Clinic. Thank you for the wonderful lecture. I'm learning so much. SAKAI88. I really agree. You become slave to digital dentistry, and it's a great opportunity to look at the present status and the changes in digital dentistry. Dr. Hall, I think you gave a lot of inspiration. ID Yeonji. When I do full arch one-piece scan, if 3D printing is difficult and patient wants gold crown on number 6 and 7 in the posterior side, should I make one piece and do bonnet type in number 6 and 7 and cast the gold crown on top and cement it, or should I use T-bar, a fixed hybrid? Or is there any other way? I think you have a lot of questions on the clinical side. I think you use it a lot. What I want to ask you is that this field is not something that I do excellently. If you want, I can ask a lot of outstanding doctors and get answers for you. So you'll ask other doctors to provide you an answer. For your information, Dr. Ha is Vice President at Korean Academy of Digitalized Dentistry, so I think he'll be able to provide a great answer. Next, L0421. Doctor, do you think seasoned dentists will still be required to operate the software in terms of diagnosis and treatment plan establishment even if technological advances are made? I agree 100%. It helps us make decisions effectively. The judgment needs to be made by the dentist. The dentist needs to actively select and focus. That depends on dentist. There are so many questions today, and I can really see that Dr. Ha is very popular. Thank you for the questions. I would like to end the Q&A session. Thank you for providing wonderful answers. There are many people who have raised questions, so I'm sure Dr. Ha's a little bit in a tight position. He needs to choose the best question. Please select one person who has raised the best question. I want to choose L0421. You've been chosen by Dr. Ha. Congratulations. Congratulations again. Sometimes some people find themselves unable to receive gifts because they haven't agreed to marketing, so please remember to do that. This event continues on in the next lecture. Questions are key in prosthodontics on Friday, so I look forward to your avid participation. Dr. Ho, thank you for the wonderful lecture. It's getting late. Thank you once again. It's been truly interesting. Could you give a word of advice to your peers who are studying up until late? First, this topic could be really boring for some, but thank you for keeping up with me. No, it was really interesting. I chose L0421 as the best question raiser because this person really saw through my lecture. I want to focus on a wider picture and not just on the clinical side. That's why I chose that person. As we do digital transformation, we need to optimize it for ourselves. This is a must-have. We do not need to overly focus on clinical side. We need to focus on business aspect as well, especially those who are just entering the dental field. They do not need to invest 100% on the clinical aspect. We need to understand the overall trend and the industry, and I hope this becomes an opportunity for all of us to grow. There are many different paths for dentists. Thank you for the wonderful lecture. Thank you for coming all the way despite your busy schedule. Those of you watching prosthodontics on Friday, how was today's lecture with Dr. Ho? I think it was really interesting. We were able to understand the present and future of digital dentistry. The answers that were not addressed today will be answered via replies. In the next lecture, Professor Kim Hee-jung of Joseon University is going to talk about maintenance of overdenture. Thank you for staying up with us until late. Thank you. Thank you for the hard work. Thank you, Professor.
고생했습니다, 교수님. 감사합니다.